Hey, man. Folks, thank y'all for joining us tonight for a pretty special, the Big BoneYard. And yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. So first of all, thank y'all for joining myself. I'm Big Bone 1%er. We got Archbishop 1%er and Dagon Pac, president of Dagon Ice Cold Riders in Minot, North Dakota. You know, got the usual suspects joining us tonight. And so again, thank y'all for coming on. And Dagon, man, I didn't even do that right. Hey, let me do it properly. We got Dagon Archbishop 1%er in the house. We got this right on. Pac, president, Ice Cold Riders, Minot, North Dakota. Well, you know, we got those fancy buttons, so, you know, we got to use them. But as we always like to say, you know, so we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff tonight. Our words are our words. We love our clubs, but what we're talking about tonight, this is just straight from us. This is our words. We're not representative of, our words are not representative of the opinions or thoughts of our respective motorcycle clubs. So tonight, as a lot of y'all know, Florida has been hit hard. So I wrote this out just so I don't mess it up. But we're calling this episode tonight is called When Disaster Strikes. And, you know, obviously we're talking about Hurricane Ian, and man, who you going to call? So I'll just read this. Florida has just endured one of the top 5 most catastrophic weather events in American history. Hurricane Ian caused death and destruction as it sliced its way through the Sunshine State. The president, FEMA, local governments, first responders from all over the Southeastern United States mobilized to do their part. And we appreciate that. I mean, because folks came out, they did what like they were supposed to do. But it's really very important for folks to really never forget about those folks in our communities that are always there. You know, those folks that are always there to help their neighbors. So I'm actually talking about, needless to say, I'm talking about the MCs, the motorcycle clubs, the bikers. Simply put, that's what we do, you know, and honestly, no punk ass hurricane called Ian is going to change any of that. We're still going to keep doing what we do, you know. So having said that, welcome to the Big BoneYard. Let's chop it up a little something, y'all. I guess one of the things, and you know, me and you, Archbishop, we've right up in the thick of it. And you know, either of us, not as bad, nowhere near as bad as some folks. We was blessed with the opportunity to be able to help a lot of other folks because of the fact that we didn't catch it as bad, right? But having said that, I know you've talked to him, I've talked to him, you've been out there doing stuff, I've been out there doing stuff. So we just want to kind of acknowledge some of those folks. And here's the thing. Not because these folks and our brothers and these guys from other clubs, they weren't doing what they were doing and helping out and putting themselves sometimes in danger or, you know, working through exhaustion and all this kind of stuff. They weren't doing it so that they could be on the Channel 6 News or something. They were doing it just because that's what we do. They didn't ask for, don't even know we even going to be talking about them. You know, giving them, like my family say, we're giving them their flowers, you know, we're giving them their props right now, not because they asked for it, but because they deserve it. But having said that, I kind of got to start with one of our very own, Dagon Archbishop. Y'all have heard me say before that Archbishop is a man of many talents, right? What some of y'all don't know is that this man has a very strong utility background, and he worked with Lineman and electric companies and all this for a long time, so much to the point, whereas I'm going to let you tell him, so much to the point, the folks that was out there working in this one area, including his own property, he's out there telling them, hey, look, man, here's how it is. And they're thanking him for like getting him squared away and then begging him to, hey, man, when you fill out an app, you can do it online. We need guys like you because he's telling them how to do their thing. You know, anyway, let me shut the hell up. Archbishop, brother, bring us in with telling us what the hell was you doing getting in them folks' business?
No, actually, I wasn't even getting in their business for real. It was more or less like now over here on my side where I was at, you know, when the hurricane came through, it came through here to Category 2. So we had the wind, we had the torn down trees, and it tore up half of the city. The other half was fine, but our half took the blunt end of it.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of structural damage, a lot of trees down, power outages. Matter of fact, I just got my power back on like an hour ago. So we had just went out and bought the generator and all that stuff, because they told us it was going to take a little over a week and a half before we was going to be able to get power back. But we ended up getting it back on about an hour ago. So thank God for that. But yeah, there was a section that had been looked at, and they was trying to figure out exactly what that particular area was, like, what all needed to be done in that area. So they was just being nosy, and asked the question. And they was like, yeah, we out, we out here surveying the line, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, if you're surveying the line over here, I'm gonna tell you what's wrong with it. You got a transformer out here, you got 2 fuses out down here, you got some trees wrapped around something down here, but you need this, and this. And we should be good if you get that line straight out on the main road. We should be good. And he was like, how do you know that? I mean, I used to do this years ago, and I used to be on the company I used to work for years ago. We did hurricane. I was actually on the hurricane team, so I worked Rita, Katrina, Andrew. The list goes on. That's the different hurricanes that we had to go in and work to be able to get the lines back up, get the power back on. Clearing out the trees and what have you, in order to get that taken care of. So yes, that's how that happened.
Oh, right on, man. And the thing is that, I tease forever about, my little joke is, well, you live in Florida long enough, you basically, after 3 years of Florida, you got a PhD in meteorology. Like, you're going to understand how this stuff works. But I guess, after X number of years, you become a certified lineman / electrician / utility person, but nah, good looking, man. I know on my end, without even meaning to, because I'm one of those, I lived in Florida for a long time, and I think I'm a basic meteorologist. I can read the weather patterns and watch the jet stream and all this kind of jazz. So when folks was freaking out, I was like, I don't know if I need to freak out just yet. And I kind of had it in my head, no kidding, that the hurricane was going to do like a lot of them do. It was going to come direct path right to Tampa Bay and hang a right and then come up the middle. And that's exactly what it did. No kidding. I told several people that. And this ain't one of those, oh, I'm so glad to be right. This is, thank God. For me, I was right, but my heart's breaking for those folks that it didn't work out for. But in the meantime, proper preparedness and all that. So, when it was time, I got out there and was hitting it, doing the doggone, sandbags. And a lot of my neighbors, especially some of the older folks in my neighborhood, they don't, especially the ones that are, like up in years like that, they don't have the ability to go shooting down to this place, that place, the other place, and bagging up, a truckload of sandbags and all of this kind of stuff, or, going to pick up food and bring it back. A lot of these folks don't even know that they can just call a phone number and order the stuff now. So there's all of this stuff that you don't even think about, or putting all of that stuff in, or boarding this up, or moving all that furniture from outside in, and the stuff that, if you don't live in Florida, it's not something that you really think about, but it's a hell of a lot of work to get prepared, to get yourself prepared for a hurricane, let alone, 4 or 5 of your, elderly neighbors. So there's that going on. And then, so I was doing a lot of that stuff. To be quite honest with you, I don't be bragging about going to the gym or nothing like that, but I don't need to go to the gym for another 4 or 5 months because I got it in. I was exhausted, but after that, I'm like, hey, I can sleep tonight feeling good. I did what I needed to do, God forbid, just in case, so, but again, that's not anything too different. That's just kind of like what we do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And speaking of pot, and this isn't about a Hurricane Ian thing, but I'll tell you something I know about this brother for the longest time. Since I've met you, you've been holding down your community in really big ways, so much to the point where, and I'll shut up and let you share that. But I remember a time when there was a whole entire school school district that was in really bad shape. And like to the point where kids were not going to be able to eat. And this ties into what we're talking about. Who you going to call? Those guys answered the call, man. And it was a lot of kids who were able to eat every day for an entire school year when the government didn't have an opportunity to do it. They didn't have the resources to do it. Who did it? Ice Cold Riders, Pac, his guys. They put that thing together. Pac, tell us about it, brother.
That was an interesting moment here in our town. The school sent out letters saying that it was a letter from my son, basically about if you didn't have money in your account, you would not get a hot lunch. And we were like, what? And we found out that a lot of kids didn't have credit on their lunch.
Yep.
Where'd
you go? Okay, you lost you for a second.
Yeah, we went through and raised money and paid off the meal balances for all the kids. And for us, it's just like that's in our mission statement, what we want to do for the club. I mean, for our community. And it didn't matter if it was hot lunches. It don't matter if we had a flood here, our club was out.
Hey, you still there? We lost your audio for a second. Hey, you with us? I think we lost the audio. Can you hear us now? We might have lost him. We were seeing him. Where'd everybody go? Hey, I don't know what happened. You there, Pac? Pac, can you hear us? All right, he might be. Hold on, let me check this thing. What's going on here? All right. All right. We might have lost him. Archbishop, you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, all right. I think we still got some. I know we were having some residual technical difficulties earlier today because internet and electricity has been real spotty. Where we are pretty spotty. Other places non-existent. But if I can jump in there a little bit about what Pac was saying, because Pac is a real humble dude, and one of the things that a lot of folks love about him, he's real humble. He don't want no 10-piece band announcing him showing up and doing what they do. They do it, again, not for the Channel 6 news or whatever. They do it because the community needs it. And if I hadn't have said it, he would have never brought it up, But I think for our purposes, it's important for people to understand that whilst, there's certain media outlets that will try to, or certain law enforcement groups that will try to paint us with a certain picture, like, hey, these people are bad people and all this kind of stuff. Nah, most folks that know us in the community, and that's the most important thing, know that when things are going on, when they have a situation, a problem, a concern, they can reach out. They can make a phone call. They can go and see one of the brothers and say, hey, here's what we got going on. Can you help us? 9 times out of 10, the answer is yes, and how. If we don't already know the answer, we're going to figure it out. Because like I was taught years ago, take care of the community takes care of you, right? That's what it's always been, right? That's been, because you've been some everywhere. Has that not been the same thing most of the places you at?
Yeah, generally you go community, you set on any community actually. If you're there for a period of time, everybody kind of knows each other. So when something goes wrong, everybody bands together to make sure that everybody's okay. Whether everybody's, like, I know here, for instance, there was it was crazy because 2 streets over from me, they had power, but none of us on this side had power.
Oh man!
And it was like if you was on one side of the street, you had power, but everybody across the street and the next block and the next block and next block, they didn't have power. So you had people that was the ones who did have power, though. They was running extension cords from their house across the street to another house to make, here you plug up a couple things or whatever, until you can get everything on track, But and I've seen a lot of that. People's come by helping with, helping getting the trees up and the brush up. And because the wind had it a mess on this block. It's still a mess in some places. but but the community actually joined up and helped each other. You know what I mean? Actually, I've been in this community here for about probably about 6-7 months now. And this is actually the first time that I actually spoke to anybody on this street, actually. You know what I mean? Because they all kind of keep to themselves. You know what I mean? Like you sing them out, but you really don't talk to them. But this past week, though, you know that everything changed at that point.
I hear, it's interesting. You said a thing about, the first time you talk to the neighbors. My father told me this thing like years ago. And what he said was that air conditioning was, and I didn't get it at the time, but he said air conditioning was the thing that messed up people in neighborhoods having strong bonds with each other. Because like when I was living in Philly and then Virginia Beach and some of these other places, everybody knew everybody, good, bad, or indifferent. Even if you had a bad neighbor, you knew who they were, right? And you had some sort of interaction with them. But he said after air conditioning became a popular thing where everybody had air conditioning, because that messed up. Because you know what happened? You got AC, you got TV, you stay inside. It could be, but back in the day, it's hot. Everybody comes out on the front porch, they're chilling, you go for a walk, any of this kind of stuff. Cable TV, well, he said air conditioning, but then over my years, I learned, oh, damn. And cable TV, it's a wrap. You don't need to know nobody else. You got all that right here. Where you got to go outside and talk to that guy in 2208 for, But no, man. Hey, Pac, we see you back, man. Thanks for joining us. We was talking about you while you was going, talked about you like a dog too, man. Real bad. Okay. But no, but as you were saying before you left, Pac, I just added my 2 cents is that you that kind of dude, that you're a real humble dude. You probably wouldn't have mentioned none of this stuff had I not just said it, because your thing is you ain't trying to shine. You're trying to hold down your community. And, in my opinion, y'all do it better than anybody. But as you were saying about that, let me shut up for a minute.
No, that's a hell of a statement right there. It's like we try to pride ourselves on one thing we have control of is making an impact on where we live. Because a lot of us came from different states and came here for an opportunity to work, and we didn't just want to take from the community. So a lot of us, all of us in our club, we planted roots here. And that's the biggest thing that you can do for a community is say, you know what, I'm a piece of it. Everybody ain't having what they're supposed to have or going through a bad time. I'm just going to step up. And it ain't to be on the news, because we've been on the news. But if you know most of the clips, it's my VP, because I don't need to do it. But we step up to just be able to help our community. And that's like the bombest thing. With a lot of times, you don't get the thank yous and thank you and hand claps and all that. But when you see the kids that you helped out, that's all the thank you need. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel you. And I noticed like the last couple of times I was up there, your VP, I call him 32. That's in my head. I don't call him that to his face because he looks like he might be violent. I don't want no smoke. But I call him 32 because when he smiles, he show all 32 of them teeth all at the same time, like ching. And he's shaking hands, kissing babies. He's that dude. And I know, and don't misunderstand me, I know he gets it in, but I know, for lack of a better way to put it, the mastermind behind all of this stuff, the pinky and the brain type dude, I know that's you. You're going to fall back, move in pieces, and then be like, hey, man, go kiss that baby.
But the funniest thing, though, and this is with anything, I figured I done found out the dude that wants to be in the front, the dude that wants the attention, the dude that needs to craves the spotlight, he ain't the dude that should be in that spot. You know what I mean? Because you don't need to it's like we're a basketball team. I might be the general manager, my VP, the point guard. I gotta trust that I paid this dude to do his job and let him do it. And my job is just to make sure everything that we say we're gonna do, we follow through and we put it down.
Man, facts. Hey, we just got a word from Cecil Walker, aka I'm gonna tell y'all about this dude. He says, Bone, we gotta train our people. Let me know when and where. Now, for those of y'all who don't know who Cecil Walker is, I don't call Cecil Walker. I call him Night Stalker, like as in Walker, the motherfucking Night Stalker. He's from Fast Company in the Marine Corps. He was over there in Somalia doing all kinds of things that we ain't gonna talk about on a public channel like this. because I'm sure some of that shit is still classified. But he was also, back in the day, I was with a team called VFI. I was an officer of the court, not a cop, not a police officer, but like a bounty hunter, kind of like in the state of Virginia. But anyway, that was a million years ago, and one of the best guys on my team was Jalen Walker, aka Cecil Walker, aka Night Stalker. So when that motherfucker says we need to train our people, he means something different. This dude gets it in. Old school Marine Corps. Love you, brother, and fantastic to see you watching the show, man. We definitely appreciate it. They said some CERT training too. But while we got a minute, I was going to mention a good brother from Outcast by the name of Minister Sal. He's down there in the thick of it, down there in Fort Myers. That's where this thing came and hit land. That's where it came out of the Gulf of Mexico onto the state of Florida, and it tore shit up. And in all that craziness, devastation, and heartbreak, this dude stopped what he was doing and took care of his family, of course. Then he started taking care of everybody else's family. Every time we tried to talk to him, when we could get through, he was like, man, I'm delivering this water. And other folks saying, man, Sal's getting it in. He's doing this. He's doing that. He's got food. He's over there bringing to this people. He's helping that old lady and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, wow. And I can't get that dude to pick up a trash can in the clubhouse. But now he's out there, with a cape on and damn near flying through the air. It just does my heart good, man, because to hear about the way that we bikers rise to the occasion. Speaking of which, for anybody, and we definitely, and I feel remiss by by not mentioning this earlier, anybody who wants to help out with relief efforts, we're trying to take up some donations of funds to help out in the effort to help out whoever the hell we can. But I'm going to throw this up here. I got it up here somewhere where you can send some money, or you can call and send us some encouraging wishes. If you got a couple of bucks, you can do that too. But we definitely want to hear from you. If you feel like you want to help out, please do, because it's a serious situation down here. And we like to take care of ourselves, but this one, I think they said on the news it's $13.6 billion worth of damage. So folks is going to be messed up. So everybody's trying to help out as well as they can. If you can, do your part. I'm going to shut the hell up about that for a minute.
I think that's just like I think that's just it's just the primary figures right now. They haven't got down to everything yet, because you remember you got the one bridge down that's going over to the island. Then you got another bridge down that fell down out there on 75.
And then there's two in Fort Myers. There's the bridge going to where was it? Not I forgot what island it was, but no, go ahead. Sanibel. Yeah, it's one, because they're saying they got the what they call them, the Cajun militia, which for those of y'all that's not in Florida, the Cajun militia is a bunch of cats who got like them airboats, like you see on the movie where they out there messing with the alligators. They got the Cajun militia, which is made up of those, and bass boats and all this kind of stuff. And they're going back and forth day and night, evacuating families who are stuck on the island, just bringing them back. Some folks, they're bringing them food. As you were saying, brother, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just saying that's just like the small figure number right now. They haven't got down to, the actual brass tacks and how much that's going to be. I'm pretty sure that number is going to climb significantly once they start getting in there, and I think one of the biggest things I didn't understand though is that, every time that there's a hurricane or whatever, they always put out the notices or whatever to evacuate, get out of whatever. And I know everybody was thinking that, Tampa was going to be the one that was going to get hit the hardest, but you still was going to have the storm surge that was going to run the whole length of the West Gulf. So if you living out there on that island, why would you stay? Why would you stay out there? Knowing that you at significant risk. And then once they actually said like, no, it's not going to Tampa, it's gonna cut in, you still had about a day to get out of there. Yeah. I understand. I mean, like you and me, we got we kind of hunkered down and just weathered out the storm. But being that close to the storm,
Yeah.
there's no way I would have stayed.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. You know, my thought was like this, is that honestly, I was thinking, okay, so like our houses are made out of brick, but a lot of those folks that was getting, and I'm not blaming the folks, but a lot of those folks were in like trailers or a different construction kind of a home in an area that had a huge opportunity. The chances were pretty high that the hurricane was either going to come in there or get pretty close to there, and they're just not set up to weather a category a category 1 or 2, let alone a category 4 or 5. You know, it just wasn't going to happen. You know, like you in trouble during a bad thunderstorm. You know, so it does make you wonder. You know, again, I'm not blaming those folks. Everybody's got their reasons. Because Lord knows if it had come here and tore up like it did down there, folks might have been saying the same thing about us.
Oh
But
yeah, absolutely.
again,
Absolutely.
we could weather the storm a little better just based on the type of construction that we got going on. But that's some of that Florida shit, though. That's stuff you gotta do the math different about stuff that you know, like in California, you got to worry about earthquakes. You know, which terrify the shit out of me, by the way. Hurricanes don't bother me that bad. I mean, I know they're devastating and all that, but I understand them. You know what I mean? Earthquakes don't make no damn sense to me whatsoever. It's like you just be sitting there chilling, you know, watching TV or, you know, at the movies, and then everything begins to shake and the ground. What the hell is that? That's like some stuff from the devil is what that is. That's different.
Hey,
No.
you know what I was just thinking about? I was just thinking about this, that with all of that disaster that they had down there, right? This is a federal government is going to come in and like they send money down there to help out with the disaster recovery. I hope that FEMA does better this time than it did in Louisiana. And
Ooh,
two,
facts.
I find it ironic how great it is to be American, because the governor down there, he just was saying, we don't, the federal government stay out of our business. This is how I'm running my state and yada yada yada.
Yep.
But yet and still right now, I seen him on a news conference like this.
Yeah.
What makes us so great and what the Republicans don't get right now is that when bullshit is on the table, you're supposed to remember you American first and help, right? That's the first thing. That's
Yes.
beyond party. That's beyond religion. That's we are from the
Oh
same
yeah.
soil right here. Let's get down. But it's just so funny to see how a disaster happened and the governor just flipped script and got his hands out like this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's crazy.
Yeah. I was honestly, I was surprised to see him swallow his pride, because during this was during the pandemic, they had a thing where the federal government had released a lot of funds for unemployment and food stamps, I think it was, where the money was coming from the federal government, would not cost the state of Florida not one dime, and all the governor had to do was basically sign for it, and he refused to do it. Like he would not do it, and it was on the news and on Fox and CNN and all this kind of stuff, and everybody put their own spin on it. But the bottom line was he didn't want to do it because of the fact that he's like, oh well, you know, we don't want to give these people too much and this, that, and other thing, and people want money, they better get back to work. I don't care if they're, you know, I don't believe in COVID and all this kind of stuff, and yeah, sure enough, nobody got that money. Now this hurricane, that's a different situation. So I'm glad they stopped playing politics long enough to be concerned with the actual people. And I think that's probably playing politics too, because it's like, hey man, if you don't get this money and help these folks that need helping, they're not going to be here to vote for you in a couple of months when it's election time. People will remember that. So he had to,
Right.
you know, pick and choose. Do I keep playing politics or do I, you know, come correct? So I'm glad
they're gonna actually stick with the politic part of it. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna give you an example.
Okay.
Okay. Now, case in point, you got Fort Myers right now, and to the people that's watching this, that's gonna be watching this video, pay real attention to this. Okay. That area down there is completely destroyed. They don't have gas. They don't have food. They don't have water. They need all the help they can get. Okay. Now with FEMA, and I'm saying this because I used to work doing this stuff, so I had to deal with FEMA when I was doing this. And I actually worked Katrina. Okay, and I was in New Orleans for 12 weeks working on the power lines, and then went from New Orleans down to Beaumont, Texas, and Lake Charles for Hurricane Rita, which was a couple weeks after that. But I'm gonna tell you what I've seen. A lot of the money that was coming down there was not going to the people. It was going in their pocket. Okay.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to tell you why. Now, when we went there, they had all the power companies and the tree crews. We all were in one big spot. It was like a fairgrounds that we was all posted up at. And they had everything that we could think of was there. They had trailers, to take showers. They had trailers to that they did your laundry for you. You just bring it in and give it to them. They did your laundry. We had caterers there that fed us 3 meals a day, and also whenever you was hungry, you could walk in there and they give you whatever you wanted. Everything was free. We had semi-trailers with ice, water, Gatorade, sodas, cigarettes, everything you can possibly. You did not have to spend a dime there, and you got everything you needed. But you went out of that compound, and I was out here working on these roads, and I gave a lot of stuff away. I would fill my trucks up, and while I was out, I would give water away, give sodas away, give ice away, because they had National Guard stations that was like 4 and 5 miles away, and you had elderly people that couldn't get there. There were several elderly families that I helped out and went in and put ice in sinks and tubs or wherever they had, and put water and ice in it to make sure that they had it, because they only had certain spots that the National Guard was even posted, and they was giving them a little bit of water and some K rations and sending them on their way. But we're literally 5 miles down the road, and we had everything that you could think of down there, but the actual people in New Orleans didn't have it, So we ended up leaving the station that we were all staying at, and stayed in a hotel. And the hotel was running on generator. And the only reason why they agreed to let us stay in this hotel is because I would agree to bring them food from the station, food and drinks to the station every day, bring it to them. And then in return, they would let me and my guys stay at this hotel, because they were not getting the food. They were not getting the water. Now that money was going there, but they wasn't getting it.
Yeah, facts, man. And I think that's the big thing, that it's that same spirit, I guess, is what I'm babbling about. It's that same spirit that you had then, that you still got now. And it's the American spirit. And a lot of folks try to say, oh, since we got good tans and stuff, we don't have an American spirit. That's not true. We're ingrained in the history and the fabric of this country. And I find you're going to be hard pressed to find anybody who embraces the idea of being American more than us bikers. Because it's the most American thing I can think of is freedom, right? We're into freedom. And that means the freedom of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life being the first thing. So what are we gonna do, man? We're gonna hold you down. Again, like what we do in times like this, you check all that bullshit at the door. You watch out for your community. You watch out for your neighbors. You help people. That's a thing. I don't know one biker who's not built that same exact way. Not one. Even there's a couple I don't even like that, when things go down, hey, it's time to get it in, man. I love that about us. I was going to mention there's a club in Tampa. I haven't spoke to them to get their approval to talk about this, but they're doing something real cool that I was listening to, and I spoke with one dude earlier today. They've got a chapter on the East Coast and a chapter on the West Coast of Florida, and they're from a pretty large national club. And these guys have scuba divers, and they are sending their guys who know how to scuba dive into these areas, because to help you understand, some of these areas are completely underwater. Matter of fact, let me me see if I can share this with y'all right quick. This is from one of my brothers in Fort Myers, but there's neighborhoods that are complete, and that's low compared to some of the other stuff that we've been seeing. There's whole entire houses that are underground right now, and the benefit that we have is we got folks to help us out. You know, we got folks those that aren't as badly affected are helping those that were. But this, going back to this club though, they've got scuba divers, they've got boats, they've got electricians, they've got carpenters, they've got folks bringing food, you name it, they're doing it, and they're doing it in a big way. And in fact, if they give me the okay to talk about it, you know, maybe by this time next week, I might have them on. We can maybe have one of those guys on to kind of share with us what their experiences were. But again, I won't say the name of that club without permission. But having said that, that's just the makeup of this whole MC thing that we do, because most people think it's just about, you know, riding motorcycles, fighting and fucking. And okay, it's about that too. But no, but for real, you know, it's about more than just that stuff. You know, it really is. We talk about all the time, practically every week. You're gonna hear somebody on this dais say, "Oh, brotherhood this, brotherhood that, brotherhood the other thing." It is. It's brotherhood, but brotherhood extends beyond your immediate brothers. It's about your community. And man, you know, if you're not a biker, or if this is new to you, or any of this stuff we're talking about, this is new to you, man. Get with this shit, because it's a really good thing to have a group of folks who give a wholehearted damn about you and how well you're going to do in life. That's what this whole biker scene is about. That's why we have stuff to talk about every single week, because it all relates back to the same exact thing. Actually giving a fuck about your fellow man, you know, your brothers and your community. I was going to mention, I talked to this one bro, another lazy individual that we know, that I went to talk to him day before yesterday, and his wife picked up his phone. I was shocked. I'm like, well, she says, that's in our environment, that's a huge no-no. Your wife does not touch your cell phone. You know, your old lady, your girlfriend, whatever, you don't touch my cell phone, because there's things on there that she don't need to know. I'm not talking about another chick. It's club stuff. It's private club business. Don't touch my phone. Don't touch his phone. Don't touch nobody's phone. Anyway, I call this dude shocked to death because his wife answered the phone. I'm like, hey, well, what's going on? Where is he at? She goes, oh, he's down the street. He's dragging trees and stuff out of the street. I said, say again now? Because I don't, you know, love this brother, but he's lazy as fuck. You know, and she's like, yeah, he's down the street. And she does the camera joint. And sure enough, he's in the middle of the street, him and two other guys I've never seen before in my life. And they pulling a big tree out of the street. And once again, this is a dude I can't get to pick up a piece of trash in the clubhouse, and now he's down the street pulling trees. I'm like, go figure. Took a hurricane, I guess. I don't know, but you know, that's how it happens, man. But I'll say one more thing. So this whole community thing, and I know Pac, you know a lot about this, because again, you hold down the community really, really well. But months ago, I'm going to mention that the church. Dr. Archbishop, you know, the church in our area was in trouble. It's a church not too far from where we are. And this is earlier this year, the church was in trouble. And the people that own the church was going to be raising the rent and all this other kind of stuff. Taxes and da-da-da-da. I forget what they did. The church been there 20 some years. And they was going to price them out because I guess the people that own the property wanted to make more money off this building that's a church. So they came to us, like a lot of folks do. They came to us like, hey, we're in this situation, and you know, we've been here, we can't afford to move, and you know, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Can you help? So us being who we are, we tried to have a conversation with these folks about giving the church a break. They was not trying to hear it. So in true outlaw fashion, you know, we do like Outcasts do. We bought the whole building and a couple other ones in the process, not because, you know, not for purposes of bragging and all this other kind of stuff, but it was to help out the church, man. These folks have been good neighbors to us for years. So if buying the church and a whole bunch of other stuff was the thing that needed to be done, that's what we did. And of course, their rent didn't go up and nothing else. You know, those folks are good. And those folks, when well before a hurricane, if you ask them anything about the bikers in the community, they got a completely different outlook than does the media and all this kind of stuff. Those folks, you can't say nothing bad about us to them because they're still there because we gave a damn. But that's how we get down, no different than what's going on with this hurricane, man. But anyway, I'm babbling my head off. But I was going to ask you, Archbishop, because again, you've been some everywhere. What's an example of stuff that you've seen? And again, I get it wasn't a hurricane. Well, maybe in your case, maybe it was because you've been around for a minute. What kind of catastrophe in English? What's that word?
Catastrophe.
Yeah, what you said, that word. Have you seen where you saw like the biker community step up?
I've seen it. Well, actually, I've seen it not about an actual. I know in Ohio, where I'm from, we've had several. Like we didn't have to worry about hurricanes there. We had tornadoes.
Yeah.
And a tornado will come in and wipe your whole town out in 15 minutes. And those were times that you've seen everybody from all different clubs, all different walks of life. Everybody came together for one primary focus, and that was to be able to help the fellow man and rebuild. There's like when you was talking earlier when you was saying about the guy that was lazy, we wouldn't give him to dump a trash can, but he's doing this. But the reason why that took place is because when stuff happens, when catastrophes and disasters happen, you kind of switch modes. You're no longer the happy-go-lucky or the lazy now you switch modes. Now you're in like a survival mode. So it's not just me surviving. You gotta survive. Something happens to you while we in this community, and something happens to you, and it says because I wasn't able to help you, then I failed too. So you tend to do a little bit more. You reach out a little bit more. You try to do more because, in all actuality, it's not just you. As a community, even on the MC scene, you have to realize that it's not just you.
Right.
There is somebody else that's out there that's doing worse than you could possibly think of. Last night, for example, I was out. Me and my old lady was out. Went to the store, picked up something, and I didn't hear it, but it was two people that were sitting up under a little shed by this store. And when we walked in the store, my lady said, "Did you hear what she said?" And I said, "Who?" The lady that was sitting at the shed. I said, "No, pay no attention." She said, "Well, she was asking the guy beside her to let her get something to drink, and that she was hungry." I said, "I ain't hear that." She said, "Yeah, I heard that." I'm like, "Okay." So she talked about it the whole time she was in the store. Long story short, she ended up going next door, bought some food, went inside, bought some drinks, took it over and gave it to her. Because she ear hustled and heard what this woman said.
Yeah, right.
Was that something that she had to do? No, but it was in her heart to do. You know what I mean? And if it's in your heart to do, then you're never wrong.
Right.
And I think that's one of the biggest things when it's dealing with a disaster or tornado, hurricane, snowstorm, ice storm, whatever. People do what they do because it's in their heart to do.
Yeah, facts. I know. I was thinking about this the other day. Is that because you seen how it was here in Pac here, man. It was wind and rain. It was pretty nasty, And again, we was like the three little pigs in the brick house. But looking out, whoa, it wasn't nothing nice. And I remember my first thought was, and then I got mad at myself for having the thought. I was like, damn, weather's gonna be messed up. I can't get out and ride nothing, Like I took took the slingshot and put in the over there at Let's Ride, parked it in the garage, and then packed everything else in the garage here at the house. And 'cause I got a few motorcycles and a truck and like this. and then boarded that all up, with the sandbags and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm stuck in here. Now, I'm legitimately lazy because even though the weather's broken, everything else, I'm like, man, the idea of undoing all that just to go somewhere seems like a horrible thought. But anyway, I was thinking, man, I ain't going to be able to ride for a minute. I want to get out and I can't. And then even after the weather cleared, but the reason I got mad at myself was here I am mad because I can't jump on my scoot and like get some wind therapy type thing. I'm thinking, man, some other folks, they wish they had the option to do such a thing. And it's like a reoccurring thing, kind of like survivor's guilt, I guess, is kind of like that, because every time I think, oh, it's a beautiful day and I want to stretch and hit some of this, immediately I start thinking about those folks, or all I got to do is turn on the news and I'm thinking about those folks immediately standing in the lines. We got a brother in our group right now that I was speaking to him earlier, and he was going to FEMA, picking up water and MREs, bringing them to what used to be a high school, which is now a homeless shelter. He's bringing them food, he's bringing them water. And this in between him trying to work and do some other things down there. And this has been going on for a few days now. And that's like his normal day-to-day thing. I said, well, man, shoot, let me shoot on down there. He said, no, I don't know if that's a good idea. I said, well, you sure? Y'all might need some help. I'm like, I'll call AB. That means Archbishop for y'all. Don't know. I'm like, I'll call Archbishop. Some other brother will shoot on down there. He's like, nah, man. He says, you might not be able to get gas. I'm like, say what now? You might not be able to get home. I'm like, damn, it's serious, and everything's cash. There's no ATM machines down there. So, if you don't got cash, and this is one of those things they tell you is that if a hurricane or some sort of major catastrophe is headed your way, one of the things they tell you, go to the bank, get cash, because ATM machines ain't working. Get propane or, get something that you can cook with, charcoal, propane, whatever. You got to do that. Got to get water and people always talk about water. And a bro was teasing me. I'm like, yeah, I got to get some water from the store. He said, dude, I ain't seen you drink a glass of water in 20 years. And now all of a sudden you want to get 20 gallons of it. What's up with that? And I thought it was funny at the time he said it until you realize a lot of folks don't have no water no more. Like water, what does water have to do with wind and all that? Yeah, you don't got no water. A lot of folks don't got no electricity. All this stuff that you absolutely take for granted, and it's a joke until you don't have it.
And you know what? I'll tell you something that's dealing with this water. Now, a couple of days ago, before the storm hit, everybody's in the store gathering, trying to get all they can get. And I went to this one store. I went to 3 other stores looking for water and couldn't find it. And I had already had some, but I wanted to get a couple more just to make sure, because you don't know exactly what's going to happen. And finally, I went to this one store and I found 2 cases. The last 2 cases was in there. I grabbed them. So got home, and then a little bit later, I said, well, because one of the guys inside the store was like, hey, if you go online and order it, you can come in tomorrow and pick it up. I'm like, okay. So I go online to order it, because I was gonna pick up 2 more just to make sure that we were good, because we got 5 people in this house, so we need to make sure everybody was good.
Right.
And then also, if something else next door, down the street, whatever needed it, then we had something. We had something extra. So I go online and order this water. And this is Walmart that I'm ordering this from. $17 for a 24 pack of water. They was asking $17 for it. The same water that I had just got there 5 hours ago and paid $4 for it. They was asking $17 online.
Ooh,
crazy.
So if you know that this is, why would you price gouge so much for water? But you can go right down the street right now at the gas station, and gas is $2.89.
Mm-hmm.
But water was $17 for 24 bottles of water.
I hate to do the politics too much again, but I hate to do it. But there was a law. There used to be the law in Florida during hurricanes or catastrophic events that vendors were not allowed to raise the prices. They had a gap of they could increase the prices, I think, by 10% more than what they were normally. So like a week prior to a catastrophic event, whatever the price was, they could only raise it 7% higher, and that was it. But all that stuff went out the window with DeSantis, so now it's a free for all, kind of like. And not trying to get too political, but that's something that needs some attention, because that ain't cool. That ain't cool at all. That price gouging, that ain't nothing good about that at all, brother.
Oh yeah, I couldn't believe it when I seen it. I was like, hold on, maybe I hit too many numbers. You know how it acts, like how many cases you want or whatever. I'm like, hold on. So I scroll back and look. I'm like, nah, they doing $17. Are you serious? Yeah. I just paid $4.85 for a 24 pack of this same water that you asked for $17 for 6 hours later.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Oh, by the way, I was going to tell you, anybody, if anybody sends us some dough to help to donate toward the Hurricane Ian relief, say so in the chat or call in on the phone and let us know so we can acknowledge you. Because, and you don't have to, even if you're not watching live, you can still do that at any time. Just let us know. We definitely want to acknowledge you, because it's the help is needed, and anything you can do to help. It be $1, $5, $1,000. All right, I'm kidding. Ain't nobody got $1,000. But the point is, though, help out if you can. Help out if you can. So, and we're gonna keep putting the information up here. So if you're not watching live, if you're watching this later on, then you can still do it. You can still do it. And Pastor Troy threw a word out. He said, "Survivor's guilt truly left me when I saw the devastation, all the hungry and desperate people." Yeah, man, it's been rough down here. It's definitely been it's been something else. But like Americans do, not just here in Florida, but like Americans do, we like to survive. I remember after September the 11th, for those of y'all who remember, September the 11th was a horrible time in America's history. But the greatest thing about September the 11th, and that sounds crazy when I say that, but the greatest thing about September the 11th wasn't September the 11th. It was the stuff that happened after, where there was no such thing as Republicans and Democrats and black folks and white folks and Hispanic folks. Everybody was an American. Everybody gave a damn. Everybody wanted to do their part. Everybody wanted to help out. Everybody came together for a little bit. And it was as crazy as it sounds, that was a beautiful time. It was a beautiful time to be an American. It didn't last. That same spirit did not last as long as I wish it would have. But that's what we do. Folks come together when they need to, and I haven't seen too much ugliness, with the exception of that price gouging on the water. I haven't seen too much ugliness, but them folks are still out there. It's always somebody trying to take advantage of a situation, and don't let us find out that that's what you're doing. If you're out there taking advantage of people during a time like this, I will say this, I did see a scam on Facebook. There's how Facebook has that thing where you can check in and say that you're safe. Well, there's somebody who's put a whole bunch of junk on that page saying, oh, click here, my house is underwater, and you click on there and it takes you to a porn site. And then there's another one, you click on the thing and it takes you to something else trying to sell you some Bitcoin. And then it's got another thing, click on here, this is such a bad thing, look at this video, it's crazy. And you click on that and it's taking you to something trying to get you to fill out some information. So you put in your passwords and whatnot for your social media so they can hack you. I'm like, man, who does that? And it's a lot of it. That's online shit. But the scumbags come out of the woodworks when it's when things take place. But what are you going to do?
Right.
But yeah, man. But I'll tell you what, I know I've enjoyed talking to these folks tonight, even though it's been a very rough subject. But we appreciate y'all coming to see us, talking with us. It's a rough time. So definitely, if you can help out, please do. We got, speaking of which, I got to say 2 weeks from now, go ahead and tell them about it. 2 weeks from now.
Oh yeah. 2 weeks from now on the Big BoneYard, we're going to have it's going to be a special show. Okay. We're going to have, there's there's a book that I hold near and dear to my heart. I've made some phone calls, and I'm not going to tell you who it is yet. I'm gonna let it kind of bolster a little bit. But I got in contact with him, and he's going to come on the Big BoneYard, and we're going to be able to ask him some questions. You're going to be able to ask him some questions. He's going to talk about his book. He's going to talk about what was it that made him write the book, why he wrote the book, how he wrote the book. Answer your questions, anything that you want to know dealing with that book. He's going to be here. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a special show. I'm not going to tell you right now who it is because I want you to tune in. This is going to be in 2 weeks. Not next week's show, but the show after. He's going to be here live. And I had to move around and make some moves in order to make this happen. But it did happen, and he will be on the Big BoneYard in 2 weeks.
Hell yeah, and sir, let me tell you, that's worthy of applause because, see, I know who it is, and I can't even lie, man. I'm geeked, like I'm doing what they call it. I'm like doing the fanboy out type of thing because let's just say, all right, I'm gonna say it like I mean it. I ain't gonna tell everything. It's an MC legend. A good number of folks know who this is, and if you don't know who it is, you're really gonna want to know who it is. So this is in 2 weeks, not next week, but a week after that. You want to mark it on your calendars. You want to make it your business to come by, ride by the Big BoneYard, and see what this man is talking about. You're gonna be real glad that you did. So I'm real about that. I'm jacked up. I'm very jacked up.
Make sure you spread it around. Tell everybody. Tell all your friends. Tell your MC clubs. Tell your coalitions. Everybody. Tune in 2 weeks. They're gonna want to be on that show. It's gonna be a lot of information told on this show. It's gonna be a lot of information given on this show. It's gonna help out a lot of people. 2 weeks be on this show.
Well, stand by 1 second. Somebody's giving us a call. Let's see who that is right quick. Hey, thank you for calling in tonight on the Big BoneYard.
This is a prepaid call from
Jeremy Walker, Burke County.
an inmate at Burke County Jail.
Oh, wow.
Phone service provided by PayPal Communications. To accept this call, press 3 now. To block all
Is that a
future
thing we can
calls,
do?
press 4. To
I don't know.
this call, press
Hold
5
on, let
or
me-
hang up now. To repeat this
hold on.
information, press 9.
Let's try
This
it.
call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. You may
Oh my God, big bro.
Hey, well, this is different. Hey, thank you for calling the Big BoneYard. This is Big Bone 1%er and Archbishop 1%er, and who this?
It's Frost. I thought that you was already off here. My bad. I apologize.
Okay. Now, see, ordinarily, I would say I know what that phone call means, right? But we ain't gonna talk about
Yeah,
that.
I'm on vacation right now.
Okay. Well, look, vacations are good. You're gonna get a good tan. You're gonna get a good tan. Like hang out by the beach. I'm sure that's what you mean. Yeah, I got you. Look, man, but look,
Yeah.
you're right up in the middle of the show. But I'll tell you what, man, I'm glad that you called. I'm glad that you're alive. I was wondering where the hell you was. And but I'll tell you what. Well, hey, let me ask you like this. You doing all right?
I mean, I could be better, but I sent you a message. Go ahead and read that. Get back to the show. Like I said, I thought you was off air by now. I apologize. I can't really monitor that at the current moment, so
Yeah,
I
understood.
will call back in like 20 minutes if that's cool with you.
Yeah, give a call back. All right, man. Well, look, hang in there, do your thing, and we'll speak back with you later on. Okay, that's different. That's a new one.
So they watching the Big BoneYard from jail.
Yeah, no, see, they're doing it different because when I was locked up, I had a cell phone, right? So all of that threw me off. But I guess these young fellas, they do it different.
Right.
You don't got no cell phone. What kind of archaic, Flintstone ass jail is that? You don't got a cell phone.
Yeah, but shout out to Frost though. You know what I mean? Hold it down in there, brother. Be safe.
Yeah.
He's probably in there. He's probably in there talking about it. I'm like, watch this. Like, I'm gonna call the show and get on the show watch. You know what I mean? We know his ass. We know it.
Yep. I was like, that threw me for a loop though. I'm like, because whatever the name of the jail was, I had never even heard of them places before. I went on a tour So I thought I knew every jail in the country, but apparently they built a few new ones since my time.
Right.
But yeah, man, but I am excited about 2 weeks from now. That's going to be the bomb. Yo, folks, for those of y'all that's watching, we appreciate you. If you, by the way, if you've not subscribed yet, please do. Tell folks, your friends about this show. We're trying to do all kinds of good stuff for the community. Again, tonight's topic was a little bit different. This was like what we call housekeeping. This was business because of the fact that, you know, there's folks in trouble. So we need the community, our community, this Big BoneYard community. Y'all boneheads out there, come through for us. Help these folks out if you can. You know, if you can help out, do it. And y'all keep riding with us, man. It's definitely some good shit going on here, you know. And we're gonna get back to our regularly scheduled program more like on the very next show. But other than that, Archbishop, you got anything?
Yeah, real quick. I just wanna say to the ones that's watching, like I said, down in Fort Myers, Naples, Cape Coral, Port Charlotte, they really are in bad shape. So any donation that you can will be sent to those people to help in their aid, and will be greatly appreciated. Also want to give a shout out to Miss Sal. Keep doing what you're doing down there in Fort Myers. Big Baby, you down in Fort Myers. Ali, you down in Fort Myers. Phoenix, you went through some stuff dealing with the hurricane up on this side. I hope everything good with you. And I also want to give one out to OG Wise.
Yeah.
He was on the show previously, so some of you ones heard him on the show before. He recently lost his mother. So I tried to call you earlier before the show, wasn't able to get a hold of you, but I wanted to let you know that my thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. And if you need anything from either one of us, feel free to pick up the phone, brother, and I'll be there for you 100.
Absolutely, brother. And I got your bike over here. It's good and safe, you know. So but yeah, brother, absolutely. Our heart goes out to you. And I couldn't have said it better myself. So I guess in parting, you know, I just got to double down on everything the Archbishop just said, because it's, you know, there's so many folks that we appreciate, that we want to acknowledge. Along with that, of course, Fran Hash, the law group, we know that y'all are doing some big things right now, and they're helping out a lot of folks, and it's a big deal. Everybody knows it. Everybody appreciates it. And I can't tell you to keep doing what you're doing, because that's just how y'all made up. But other than that, listen, thank y'all for joining us tonight for the Big BoneYard. We're going to be doing it again next week. Y'all make sure y'all slide through, ride through, you know, fuck with your boy. You know, we're gonna have a good time with it. We definitely gonna have a good time with it. In the meantime, thank y'all for joining us tonight.
Welcome to the Big BoneYard.